better?
I'm at Kate's. So that would be why.
That's that expensive internet for you.
Yeah. Ugh, it totally crapped out last night completely. I had like no internet whatsoever, and my landlord's out of town, so she had to like fix it from.
Oh my gosh.
She was. It was a whole disaster. I was like, good thing I'm going to Kate's tomorrow.
All right. Well, we're live. So.
Yay!
All right. Okay. So, what our plan is today is we're going to be releasing Shame with Meg. And we're going to be going through it slowly, and I'm going to be explaining the different steps, and Meg will also kind of explain what she's thinking and feeling also, because some of the feedback I was getting was that people are worried they can't do it. It seems too easy or simple or hard or whatever. And, it is easy, and everyone can do it, but let's just break it down so people understand the process a little bit better, yeah?
Perfect.
All right. So quickly before we start, we're working with the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind, right? So our conscious mind is the rational mind. So it's the mind that part of your brain that deals with the things you need to deal with to live your life right now. What isn't important is shoved to the back to your unconscious mind, right? So everything that's ever happened to you, and some people believe even before birth, but we'll get into that, is stored there, right? So just because you don't remember being a baby doesn't mean you were never a baby. It just means it's not important to you having to get to work and, pick up your kids. You don't have to remember being born, right? It just doesn't matter. So, but that being said, those memories still hold importance as far as neurological chains and patterns and emotions, right? So for the work we do, we want to get to the root cause, right? The first event that created this emotion. And it might feel totally weird and unrelated rationally, but we're going to leave our rational minds behind on a nice beach somewhere. And we're going to talk to that unconscious mind, that feeling mind. It's that first gut response, right? So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be asking Meg in the beginning to find the root cause of shame, that first event that created shame, it might not make rational sense to her, but that's okay, because everything is right, which drives my type A clients crazy. But there's no right or wrong to this process. Yeah, is there anything you want to add, Meg?
No, I think you got it. Yeah, and just from a client perspective, I guess the only thing I would add is everything that you said is pretty much what I try to lean on, because I am that type A type of client. So when I first started, it was really hard for me to be like, I have to go with what that first thought is. But NLP has really helped me, or timeline therapy has really helped me to not only be able to just take that first thought as a subconscious belief in this process, but also in life too, so that I use it more often, where I know that that's what my gut response is that's that first thought. Even if my head doesn't believe it, I'm like, but I thought it, so that means something. And that's kind of where I started to understand the difference between conscious thoughts and subconscious thoughts. Was subconscious thoughts, they just come, you don't really know what they even mean sometimes, and then your conscious brain kind of tries to outthink the subconscious thought, which is that gut feeling. So that's
your
what
conscious mind exactly will be like, that's stupid, shut up, of course that's not a problem anymore. Or your conscious mind will be like, no, I don't want to date that same type of person. And your unconscious mind will be like, no, I think we do. For all these, for all these reasons and patterns and things from the past, right? So yeah, that's a really good point. So we're gonna start, but we'll stop sort of as we go and explain stuff, if that's okay, Meg.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll just keep my eyes closed for longer.
Yeah, and I've been working with her for quite a while, so this is something that she's quite comfortable with, and it is okay. And she made it seem easy in our last video, which is amazing. And it is when you do it, and just remembering that I'm with you the whole time. And the worst thing that can happen is that we do it a second time, right? Like really, it's not a finite process, right? We can do whatever we want. So, okay. So we're going to release shame. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to ask our unconscious mind permission and make sure it is okay to release it, because sometimes our unconscious wants to hold on to emotions for whatever reason, right? So I need to get a resounding yes. So Meg, is it all right for your unconscious mind for you to release shame today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Like, I want to say yes, but there is a pain in my shoulder that I'm like, you asked that question, and all of a sudden my shoulder just started like heating up. So I was like,
perfect, right? So this is awesome. So what benefit are you getting from holding on to shame? What is that doing for you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So obviously consciously your brain's like nothing, but unconsciously, what is it?
It's like something about like attention, like my like, as much as I wanted to ignore it, like my head started going, oh, it's about like, I think it's about like the support. Like when you are in a spot of shame, it's like an excuse, I guess. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, the first thing that came up was like holding on to it makes it easier to have things to complain about. That's a really
and to get some attention from people or whatever, right?
Yeah, like, like because I was thinking about like a support group. That's kind of what came up for me, is like everyone's sitting in a circle and you have the ability to like relive your problem and talk it through. And
how's that working out for you? Holding on to shame.
Not really getting me anywhere.
Right. So ask your unconscious mind, is it possible for you to get these same positive feelings and support without hanging on to the feeling of shame?
Yes, because I like, especially because I've been doing this for so long, like I think I kind of can recognize that, like I've already when we've worked through it together, like this need for validation, something that I've been working through. So I feel
it's like that last little piece, kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. Like it's all connected backwards from this.
Great. Awesome. So this is the perfect time to work out this emotion. So can we let go of it? Is it okay to release shame?
I don't know why, but it was like, no. It was like, this is a deep one. Like it.
That is cool. What is the feeling that's under the shame? Is there another feeling that's mixed in here?
Identity was the first thing I heard in my head.
Identity? It's become your identity?
Maybe. Yeah. Like, actually, yeah, that would make a lot of sense, because it's like, you know how you have a story?
Yeah.
Everybody has a story. I don't like to talk about my story. Like, I kind of like hide it, and like you have to really get to know me for me to start telling you the stories about my life. And I think that's attached because there's still shame attached to them. Like I don't feel like I can, like, unless I'm in a place of like anger or like protection, like protecting somebody else, then I can say what I want to say. But like some of these deeper stories, like I really don't want to be judged by other people on some of the choices I've made in my life.
Okay. Do me a favor and close your eyes for a second. So what would feel better to choose for yourself than shame? What would make you, because shame keeps you stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would feel better?
Acceptance.
Sure.
That's what, yeah. Like self-acceptance.
Right. And what about self-validation?
Yeah. Self-validation. Like, oh.
Because what?
So there's like a need. It just came out crystal clear. Like my head, it wasn't even like in my head. It was like more in, like, it felt like the words were coming from like down here of like, I need to release self-judgment because I'm not going to get to self-validation and self-acceptance without releasing that. And I guess that is connected to shame for me.
Right. Cool. So is it sort of like self judgment / shame?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my head's kind of mean. Like, it was like, well, if I can't judge myself, then I can't judge others. And like, I don't judge others, but it was like, I think my subconscious, or like me, is like, if I keep judging myself, then it makes it easier not to judge everybody else, you know?
Right. Yeah. And that's
like,
okay.
Holding on to it. Yeah. It's like, it's kind of holding on to it from that position. Because like, in order for me not to lash out at the world, I usually like do it to myself.
Can we release it?
Yeah.
Good.
That was
Can we release shame and self-judgment? Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. So that's a great example of when your unconscious mind says hell no, right? And all we need to do is dig a little bit and figure out what's a good possibility, what's going to make the unconscious mind feel comfortable with releasing it, and what your benefit you're getting from holding on to it. Because if there wasn't some kind of a secondary gain, you wouldn't be hanging on to the emotion, right? Perceived secondary gain, right? Because it's not actually helping you, right, or serving you. Awesome. So, what is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected will cause the problem to disappear. If you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth?
Okay. So my body is like very invested into this process today, which is interesting. Because like I got a pain right here, which I do get a lot. So
was it before, during, or after your birth? What's the first thing that pops into your head?
It feels like before.
Okay, cool. So if it was before birth, even if you don't believe necessarily in that, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is your unconscious is telling you the easiest way that you're going to be able to release it, okay? So was it in the womb or was it before that?
Before.
Was it past life or generations back in your family line, like genealogical?
Genealogical.
Okay. How many generations?
6 or 7.
Cool. Right? So you see how she is just going with her first thing that pops into her head, not overthinking it, right? Seems weird. Like 7 generations back, what the hell? But we do know that, traumas and negative emotions, there's been research into it that it can be passed down on a cellular level. You see it a lot in, like Native communities on reserves and things like that generational trauma. So, but yeah, okay. So we have here before birth, 6 or 7 generations back, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. So now she's going to float above her timeline. So Meg, float up above your timeline. And all that means is you're just visualizing what your life would look like if it was a timeline of events. So you probably in elementary school have read a novel and then drawn a timeline of the events in the novel. You're basically drawing that of your own life. It can look like whatever it looks like. The past will be in one direction and the future will be in one direction. So Meg, what direction is the past if you're floating up and looking down on your timeline?
It goes to the left.
All right. And the future is the other way?
Yeah.
And is it out in front of you or are you in it?
It's out in front of me. Like, it's kind of like as if I was like flying over top of it and I'm like hovering. I can see it below me. Okay. Like almost like a railroad. That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Nice. And everyone's is different, right? And again, everyone's is right. So now I'm going to ask her to float up in the air above her timeline. So I'm going to ask you to float your unconscious mind to float up in the air above your timeline. And I want you to float down into the past, and you're going to float directly into the event. So you're going to be looking through your own eyes. This is called position 4. And this means you're looking through your own eyes. Let me know when you're there.
I'm here.
All right, float back up above the event. And, you know, an event will just pop into your head. Sometimes people will know the event before we get there. Sometimes you feel like you're making it up. It really doesn't matter. It is your unconscious mind. It's your active imagination. So don't get caught up in it being real or true, because it really doesn't matter. Everything's real and everything's true. All right. So float up above your timeline and go to position 3. And all that means is that you're before the event happened and you're looking toward now on your timeline. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learning so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. So just before you tell me what they are, Meg, these always start with I am and I can. And what we're doing here is we're disrupting the pattern of the negative. Your brain runs a pattern in the same loop all the time, right? When you disrupt that negative pattern by getting positive learnings from an event, your brain can no longer run the pattern in the same way. And that is when you are able to detach from the emotion. So Meg, you're floating above this event. Tell me what the positive learnings are. What do you need to know about yourself to release this?
I am protected.
Okay.
I can have my own back. Like, I can protect myself.
Good. What else?
I can see things from all angles.
Nice.
I can carry on past this.
Good.
Like, it's coming up as like it wasn't my fault, but like that's not really an I can or an I am statement.
So is it like I am innocent?
Yeah, I am innocent.
Okay. What else?
I am free.
Good.
Yeah, I'm free to make my own choices.
Yeah.
I can be me.
Beautiful.
Okay, I think that's it. Because like I just like pretty much floated away from it.
Okay. How's the pain in your shoulder?
It's gone. Like it's gone. Like it was kind of moved down to my back, and like as I was saying the last couple, it just disappeared.
Nice. Good. Perfect. So now I want you to float down into the event again, so you're looking through your own eyes. Is the self-judgment and shame gone? Did it disappear?
Yeah.
Perfect. Float up above the event now, and maybe just say how that feels. How does it feel different now?
It feels like it was for a purpose rather than a tragic thing or like a bad thing that happened.
Perfect, because you've learned the lessons you needed to learn.
Yeah.
And then the emotion was released, right?
Yeah. It like makes me want to like sit up taller. Like I'm like proud rather than because when I think yeah, exactly. The opposite of shame is proud. So yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, good. So go to position 3 above that same event. So you're above and before the event looking toward now. And come back to now above your timeline, only as quickly as you can let go of all the self-judgment and shame on all the events all the way back to now. Assume position 3 with each subsequent event, preserve the learning, and let go of shame and self-judgment all the way back to now. So this is where events are going to sort of pop up from Meghan's past, and she's just going to kind of rewrite the past now and flow through it, and whatever you see is what you see. Let me know if you get stuck, and let me know when you're back, okay?
All right. It's like I'm having a hard time walking. I don't want to leave this event, like the one that we just cleared, because I feel so good.
So just ask your unconscious to carry that good feeling all the way through, right? All the way through your timeline. It's amazing. You can take it with you. She's just going to be seeing what she sees as life events pop up.
There's a lot of stuff because I was pretty far back.
It's okay. Take your time. She's just releasing that feeling of shame and self-judgment all the way back through her life. So the cool thing is you release it at the root, the first event, but then you clear it through the rest of your life so that pattern is really broken.
Okay, I'm kind of stuck, I think.
Perfect. How old are you?
I'm just
around.
I think I'm like probably like 3 or 4. Like it looks like I'm sitting, like it looks like I'm like sitting in a chair.
Okay. So you notice how I don't need to know what the event is really at all, right? So I will only ask generally how old you are. I mean, obviously, if you want to tell me something, you can, but it's not necessary. So float up above that event where you're 3 or 4. What do you need to learn here? What does that little girl need to know?
I am brave.
Mm-hmm.
Because like my brain first was like, don't be scared. So I guess like the opposite of that is I am brave.
Right. What else?
It's not really like, there's no like, I can't think of what like the I am statement is. Like it's something about like it's okay to be the center of attention kind of thing. Like I guess I can be the center of attention.
Sure. Yeah. What else?
I can cry if I want to.
You can.
Yeah, I can laugh if I want to. I can scream if I want to.
So is it like I can express myself?
Yeah,
I guess free to express myself.
Yeah.
What else?
It's like I can do what I want.
Perfect.
Sassy.
How's the emotion feel there now?
Empowered.
Beautiful. Good. Can you keep coming back now, or is there more there?
No, I think that's good. I got up and started walking, so I guess that's what that
Perfect.
means.
You were already coming back.
Yeah, I was all right, done with this. On to the next one.
Good. So come on back and let me know when you're back, okay?
Yeah.
I'll just talk as you're coming back. but take your time. So sometimes people can come back, just barrel through the events with these new good feelings. Sometimes there might be events that are a little sticky, and you'll feel them as you come back, right? You'll feel that maybe there's a little emotion still left in certain events or whatever, and that's when I'm here. And it just means there's a few learnings that you need to learn along the way. There might be some other emotions mixed up with certain events or things like that. So whenever you're coming back down that timeline, it really is very individual. So sometimes I see a lot of events. Sometimes I just barrel through it like a train with these new learnings. It's completely individual. So, whatever you see is what you see. And the crazy thing about this process is that there's no right or wrong, which obviously makes people a bit crazy at first. But then, you just start to learn to roll with it.
I'm clearing high school, so this is taking a bit.
A lot of shame and self-judgment, right? That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Just clear it all out. That is perfect. And if you guys have questions about this process, DM me, post below the video or anything like that. I'm happy to answer them. And you can see how it's a very gentle process, right? Meg isn't rehashing old events. She's not talking them to death. Doesn't matter why, really, she felt this way. All that matters is that we're going to get rid of it. Okay?
I think I'm back.
Good. Open your eyes.
Whew.
Fantastic. So how does that feel? You look very pink and happy.
Yeah, I do feel happier. Like, I think I didn't realize how many things had attached itself to shame. Like, there was a couple of things where I was like, there are things that I thought I had already cleared, but
right.
This was a different approach to them where, like, it kind of like the overall way that I just felt was like, I don't know. I didn't feel attached to them anymore. Like, it was more like, because I knew that whatever that past life one was, that there was like no need to, like, you can't control what you can't control. Things happen. And then once I kind of had that mindset for the events as I walked through them, yeah, I don't really know how to put into words how it feels, because it's kind of like you really do have to spend the time visualizing it. I think that's one thing with timeline therapy that I learned is, like, the more you can, like, just go with whatever comes into your head and carry that message forward, like not getting stuck in what you're visualizing or like going into details of it. Because I think we can do that too, which I think is helpful, that you're not asking us to like fully relive it, because there's some stuff that I'm like, I don't even know how to process that, but that's where I just like apply whatever I am or I can statement that we had just been talking about to that scenario until the pain goes away, or like I feel that proud feeling again, and then I kind of walk to the next one. Sometimes it's
I've gone to events that were completely, like, I don't remember what it was I was clearing, but I went to an event that was just an empty room. I don't know. But I got learnings from it, and, I had a sense that I was in the right place, So I think that's what's important, and I think that's what gets some people stuck before they sign up with me, because they're worried that they won't be able to do it. And it doesn't matter, like, just make stuff up, right? Your unconscious mind, remembering that our unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and not real, right? So it doesn't matter at all. And the worst case is that we release that emotion again, right? So there isn't really a reason to feel stressed about it. And it's such an easy, I don't want to say easy, simple, beautiful process that it just, I find with myself, it makes me feel lighter.
Yeah. Well, there is one, like that one event that I was clearing. Like, I think like I can share about it now because I think it kind of is a good example with what you were just saying. Like, one of the things that's usually attached to, well, at least for me, that was attached to shame was like this being okay with being a kid kind of thing. That was what that event represented to me. And it actually had a lot to do with imagination, which I think is like interesting with what you just said, because it kind of sparked that thought for me, where it was like, well, yeah, because my fear of like giving into my imagination is attached to my shame issues. So like that's for me, it kind of makes sense, where I was like, oh, well, maybe that's why I had, before working in these processes and stuff, like had a hard time allowing my brain to visualize like that, because like my brain always goes, well, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm just exploring my imagination, which is what kids do. Can't we just be kids for 10 minutes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now let's test it. Okay. So I want you to think of a past event where you had felt shame and self-judgment, like a specific event.
Oh yeah, I got one.
Okay. All right. So go back there and see if you can still feel it the same.
No. It's more of like I'm just going to clean up and keep on going. Like, that's pretty much what I just said in that thought, which was not how I reacted when it actually happened. So
exactly. Perfect. So what you've done is broken the pattern, right? So we have detached the emotion from the root cause, the first event, and now it's affected your present.
Yeah.
Right? Which is super cool. So now, do me a favor, close your eyes. Think of an event that in like a future made-up event, that if it had happened before, you would have felt that shame and judgment, and see if you can access that feeling in the future.
No, like I wouldn't feel shame from it, because I'm too proud for that now.
Yay!
Yeah. Why would I? I'm not going to let that in.
Cool. So now you've changed your present and your future, right? By spending a few minutes releasing that emotion. Very cool.
Love it.
Yeah. You didn't have to sit in therapy for a year and talk about how you felt shame.
That would have been a lot to talk about, because there was a lot attached to that one.
Right. So let's just get rid of it. How much better?
Love it. Yeah.
Perfect.
And like,
good.
totally.
You feel good?
Yeah, I know I could walk into like it kind of, well, especially with what I do for a living, like, we're online a lot and stuff too, right? So it makes it easier for me to just, I'm excited to do a live now and not feel like if I say something that is me, that people are going to be like, oh, why did you say that? I feel like, nope, my life, my way.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Fantastic. Awesome. Is there anything before we go that you think people should know about the process of timeline therapy? Is there anything that I missed out or didn't explain properly or anything like that?
I think one of the things that I do, like, to help solidify the lessons that I've learned is like, I pay attention to things that are happening that are in synchronicity with what's happening here. Like last night I had a dream about a lot of stuff. Like, it was a really messed up dream. I was telling Kate about it this morning, and I had totally, like, all transparency, I had a moment of like forgetting that we even had this session, where I didn't realize that this dream that I had last night was my subconscious already clearing what's happening now, because like they were so attached. Like, everything I was thinking about in that dream affected what we were working through today. So I think, like, once you sign up for this type of stuff, your subconscious starts to do the work on its own. And like, it's really cool when you think about that. And then once I now know that that's kind of what happened, when you asked me where I wanted to jump into in the future, I used the situation in the dream in my future.
Oh.
How I felt last night and how I was talking to Kate about it, and like the emotions that were coming up are no longer attached to that situation. So
that's powerful. That's really powerful.
That really helped me. Yeah. And then I practice it too.
Yeah. That's amazing. And sometimes I find when I'm working with clients and we'll release stuff, and then kind of what you said, like these things will happen to them that's almost challenging the work we did, and they can 100% then see, oh my God, normally I would have acted like this or felt like this, but now I felt totally different. How cool, right? So events will start to pop up, right, to challenge you, you know, and you become so in touch with looking for that and with your unconscious mind that it starts to help you in all facets of your life, right?
Yeah, it's like other situations in life start to become that mirror. It's like you say that you've cleared this way of thinking, and then your subconscious is like, well, okay, now I'm noticing it in all these things that are happening around me. How are you going to react? Are you really done with this? And I think that's the other thing too, is like being honest with you too in between sessions. Like if it doesn't feel like it was fully cleared, or like you still struggle, like we've gone back to emotions before, obviously numerous times. Like I've cleared shame in different ways, probably like 4 or 5 times now, because like my life changes and different things that I didn't think were attached to this core feeling 5-10 years ago.
It's different context, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you get better and better at it as you practice. Like it's like any new thing. Like I think everybody kind of gets, well, I know like it's another thing that you can clear is like that fear of the unknown. Like some people get that more than others, but I really do. When I feel fear, I channel it into excitement and like jump into it, which I know is something I've learned from this process too.
Right. Yeah. And I always say, clients are always saying to me, I'm worried I'm going to fail, or I can't fail again. I've spent so much time and money on other things and nothing's worked, right? And to me, failure is just feedback, which is what I say. It's not failure. If we clear an emotion and you come back and you're like, oh, I don't know, I still felt rage. Awesome. That just means to me that maybe there's a little more going on. We have to dig a little deeper, or we need to release it again, or we need to do it in a different modality, or whatever, right? Or it's presenting as rage, but it's really inadequacy or whatever, right? And so to me, I'm always, you know, I'll say, that's awesome. Gives me such good information, right? Which is, I think, a bit of a different type of feeling, right? There's no failing.
Yeah. And I think that's something too, is like the more open you are to the process and honest with yourself, like as the client being really honest about if I am feeling the feelings coming back up, like that's feedback I should be giving to you right away, because I'm only doing myself a service by trying to act perfect, or like, oh yeah, no, I totally did it. Like we're human. It doesn't always, you know, like I feel super great right now. If I react negatively in 24 hours, like that's why Eleni follows up and like asks how you're doing. Cause like, that's where that opportunity
and I always say to my clients, you know, if I'm seeing them on a weekly basis after the first month, I'll say, if you're struggling, text me. I can fit you in sooner, right? I would rather just get it and have it fester, because, you know, once we meet and we release something in 10 minutes, they're like, oh crap, I could have, you know, why didn't I reach out to you sooner, right? Fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely there every step of the way, and you cannot fail, as you know, right?
Because failure is just feedback. That's all.
That's all. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much, Meg. So see how that settles in and processes, and then next week we will see what's left and do a bit of a recap and see what else we need to work on. I know we are going to work on not making good decisions, but I think that we talked about that might have been shame anyway. So let's see how that all kind of shifts, and then we'll touch base.
Cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.